to game 2. Saturday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. San Francisco 49ers, 10-7, 6-3 on the road at Green Bay Packers, 13-4, 8-0 at home. We're at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. 12 Fahrenheit, basically minus 10 Celsius. Not that cold. It's actually colder on Sunday. I'm sure Rodgers would have preferred it being played in colder temperatures, but it is cold. 10 miles per hour is the wind. It is not expected to be snowing. It's supposed to snow earlier in the day. We have these Niners opening up at 4.5, not at Pinnacle. At Pinnacle, they opened up at 5.5, but we know 4.5s were available when this line came out. Pinnacle now hanging a 6 at minus 103. Sports Interaction a 6 at minus 115 for the Packers. And the only two books here on my main page hanging 5.5s is Bet365 and Will Hill. Let's move over to the cash flow in the spot. 19,544 tickets in, 58% of the tickets, 60% of the cash on the Green Bay Packers. Then we have 53% of the tickets, 51% of the cash on the over. That's how it stands right now. Niners coming off their third straight win, an impressive 23-17 road victory over the Cowboys. Jimmy G went 16-25 for 172 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He's dealing with a sprained right thumb and a sprained right shoulder. He makes mistakes. Blatant mistakes. The 49ers were 7-0 when he doesn't throw an interception this year. Brandon Ayuk continued his ascension. We've been seeing it for the last 6 weeks. 5 catches, 66 yards. Deebo Samuel caught 3 passes for 38 yards, but ran 10 times for 72 yards and a touchdown. Eli Mitchell ran the ball 27 times for 96 yards and a touchdown. The Cowboys were outgained 169-77 on the ground. Green Bay has struggled to stop the run this season, ranking 30th, allowing 4.7 yards per rush. This defense, the Packers have allowed rushes of 10-plus yards on 20 of 85 carries in the last 4 weeks of the regular season, 23% of the time. That was the worst in the NFL. The league average is 11%. The Niners defense was electric until they lost Nick Bosa to a concussion and Fred Warner to an ankle injury. They still finished with 5 sacks, 14 quarterback hits. Bosa is in concussion protocol, and very little information is coming out. Warner isn't practicing, but he's expected to be good to go. He's expected to play. Emmanuel Mosley was all over the field with 12 tackles. Quan Williams had an interception. The Niners defense held the number 1 offense in the league to 307 yards. Robbie Gould is now the career leader for makes in the playoffs without a miss at 18. 2 of his field goals were from at least 50, 53, and 52 respectively. The Packers are the number 1 seed in the NFC after a 13-4 record, and Rodgers is the favorite to win the MVP after throwing for 4,115 yards, 37 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions. The Packers... Okay, Ella, I'm in the middle of a show, sweetheart, and I need you to be cool and allow me to do my job, my love. Please, Ella, I know. I'm gonna need you to keep everything together right now, and I'm gonna stay as calm as possible while I tell you this, Ella. Sorry. It's not easy here in Parkdale, but at least there's enough snow to keep the pigeons from fucking on my balcony. Excuse me. The Packers have weapons for Aaron Rodgers to spread the ball around to. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon on the ground and receiving out of the backfield. Devontae Adams, they're expecting Randall Cobb to come back, and Alan Lazard has been spectacular of late. These Packers running backs rushed for 10 or more yards on just 6.9% of 391 carries this season. That is the second worst in the NFL. The 49ers allowed 10-plus yards on carries just 6.8% of the time to running backs as well. They are very good against the run. This Packers team won 5 games in a row before taking a loss to the Lions in a meaningless Week 18 game. This defense hasn't been sharp. This Packers defense has given up 27.3 points per game to its final 7 opponents, but they're getting healthier. And it's dangerous how healthy they're getting. David Bakhtiari returned for the first time in that game against the Lions. Jair Alexander and Zadarius Smith are expected to be back in full force. Alexander hasn't played since Week 4 when he was placed on the IR. The Packers should get back Darius Smith, as I mentioned, and Whitney Merciless. This will be a huge boost to a pass rush that already includes Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary. Nobody has beaten the Packers at home this season. Babsy, can the 49ers do it? I tell you what, I don't want to bet on them unless Nick Bosa is in the lineup. Babsy, take it away here, Niners, Packers.
Well, first of all, Warner is expected to play, and I do expect Nick Bosa will play. He seemed more than fine as that, towards the end of that game, they were talking about him. His dad came out. He said Nick's fine. Obviously, he's still in concussion protocol, and he's got to pass that. But I do believe he plays. Listen, the Green Bay Packers, they're a great football team. I don't think I'm saying anything crazy there. I don't think there's too many people who are going to argue with me. But the Packers also, the last 3 seasons to me, they've had an inflated record by playing, quite frankly, terrible teams in their division. And just in general, this team, as much as I like the Packers and as much as I respect them, I just felt like in recent years with the chips down, they haven't showed up. And look, the Niners squeaked into the playoffs, but over the last half of the season, they were the best team in the NFC. So counting them out the way people have been already in this game, and the fact that it's already up at 6 points seems kind of silly to me. Yes, I understand if Bosa's out, it's probably game over for them. But this team met early on in the season, and San Francisco was winning that game with 37 seconds left on the clock. Rodgers marched down the field. They get a field goal. Packers win, Niners lose. But the Niners at the time had no one at corner. Verrett had gotten injured in week 1. Mosley wasn't back from starting the season on injury. And Ambry Thomas has gotten better and better and better in the last half of the season. He's become a very, very solid starter. So now they actually have a secondary. They have that run game that everybody knows is going to put up yards. And I just think it's too many points to give. 6 is just too many. I still think San Francisco money line's a possible play, but 6 is too many. But really what I want here is the over. Because I believe, look, we know the Packers are going to put up points. They always do. But I think the Niners will as well. And yeah, Jimmy's shoulder, that worries me, and the thumb worries me. But I don't know. The shoulder kind of seemed like an excuse for the way he played in the second half of the game. I don't think it's that serious. I think he will be fine. And look, Shanahan finds ways to protect him all the time. So I do really believe that both of these teams will be able to put up points. And I think that number is more than reasonable enough for me to want to grab the over in this.
Well, let's line shop for that over. Pinnacle hanging at 46.5. All the other books right now at 47. Dennis Garcia also liking the over. I still have these Niners at 60-1 to win the Super Bowl and 30-1 to win the NFC. And now I still hammered away at the Niners money line and the Niners +3 against the Cowboys. This is a little more daunting, but I would like to make moves as well. This total of 46.5 to the overs at -112 at Pinnacle. Let's lock you in on that right now. The over 46 for Bebsy at -112. I want to move on the Niners. I imagine so let's go back to what you said about Bosa, just for me and my own knowledge here. Can you go over what his dad said and your feelings on whether he'll be in the lineup?
Again, I think he will play. It's concussion protocol, so you got to pass. But he looked initially like he was out of it, and then shortly thereafter, he looked fine and functional on the sidelines. But his dad came out after the game and said, "Don't worry, Nick's going to be fine." And of course his dad's going to say that. It's not like his dad's going to be like, "Kid's a mess, he'll never play again." But I truly believe with what I saw from him on the sideline, what his dad said after the game, and the overall concern doesn't seem to be there within the organization. So my best bet is that he will end up playing. But again, it's concussion protocol. The guy's got to pass a series of tests to be on the field on Saturday. I do believe he will, but maybe that's the fan in me wishful thinking because he's a special player. I think it's kind of outrageous that he got snubbed for the All-Pro, but the guy's a beast. They need him if they're going to have any hope to win this game.
Finally, Bebsy, if the Niners were able to win this game, do you not think that correlates with an under and it means they've run the ball down the Packers' throat?
Not necessarily. I mean, the last time these two met in the playoffs was 2019. And the Niners, all they did was run. Now, mind you, they had Raheem Mostert, and I think he averaged like 7.8 yards a carry that game and was absolutely dominant and firing up tons of points. But I believe this team can still put up points in bunches. And again, we know Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay can. So, listen, 47 is not a huge number.
Okay, there you have it. Bebsy is locked in on the over 46.5 at -112 at Pinnacle, a look that Dennis Garcia agrees with. I expect to move on the Niners here. And I guess if Bosa's announced in, if I was to move on the Niners and not see Bosa lined up on defense, I would just count it as a loss, basically.
What I find interesting about the way all the pundits are talking about San Francisco is before the season started, they were not darlings, but they were considered Super Bowl contenders if they could stay healthy. At this juncture in the season, they've lost two players, three. There's Mostert, Kinlaw, and Verrett, who you'd obviously love to have all three of those guys playing this game. But Ambry Thomas has truly been lights out the last few weeks. CeeDee Lamb had one catch lining up against him. So he's doing a great job. Mosley has allowed the fewest yards per game in the NFL this year. For perspective, Ramsey had allowed 37 yards a game. Mosley allowed 28 per game. So there's some players on this team, and they're getting help up front. So if they were darlings before the season, not darlings, but if they were considered contenders, and now they're healthy for the first time all year, why are they just getting disrespected? I understand going into Lambeau is very difficult for any team, especially in January. But if there's a team that's built to do it, it's this run-heavy, scrappy San Francisco 49er team.
Yeah, I agree. If there's a team that is built to do it in the NFC, it's our boys. So I guess I should move on the +6 now with just a regular unit size bet, but not move on the money line until I know Bosa's there. And if that means that the number is going to be worse, so be it. Let's move on to the next game. Huge game at Lambeau Field. 49ers, Packers. I can't wait to hear your take on this bad boy. Take it away.
Look, this is tough because of all the injuries, right? If everybody's healthy, I like the Niners in this spot. I'm not saying I know anybody, but I've heard that Jimmy G he's gonna go. They're regardless of the pain he's in, they're gonna shoot him up with that stuff. They're not concerned about Jimmy G in the future. They got Trey Lance for the upcoming years, and they're gonna ride Jimmy till the wheels fall off. So it's not like they're gonna sit back and go, they're gonna have caution here with Jimmy. He's gonna play, and he's gonna be as close to 100% as he can be with the injuries he's dealing with. Bosa, Warner probably will play too. Obviously you're going to need both these guys. They're awesome. They're unbelievable players. Green Bay. Oh my God. I've rode against these guys so many times during the year, and it bit me in the ass. They're obviously the best team in football. I think right now it's a little too many points. I know that they're coming off a bye week. But the last 6 weeks what competitive game has Green Bay really played? I know it's not their fault. You got to play whoever is in front of you. But I think off the top of my head, the last time they were in a competitive game against a good football team was that Thanksgiving weekend against the LA Rams. So now they're in a very, very obviously competitive game here in the divisional round. I know it's at Lambeau, but it's just, I feel like it's just too many points for this Niner team. And Beb's made a lot of great points about how the Niners can run the football, and that could be a problem against the Packers, because I truly feel, I know everybody's been saying that the Packers defense is real good this year, and they are, but I still think that they're a little overrated. You play the Vikings twice, one time without Kirk Cousins. You play the Bears twice. You play the Lions twice. That's going to inflate your stats as a defense. And I just think 6 is too many points. I'm not saying the Packers are going to lose. I'm just saying the Niners, they could hang around. They could hang around. And there's something about all this like legalized gambling now. And I think I'm overthinking it too much sometimes, Jimmy. I don't know if you're having this problem, but I feel like 6 to me is like, in my head, I'm like, oh, 6 is for teaser protection because they're going to drop it to a pick 'em, and then they're going to bring the Bills up to 7.5. Like I'm thinking like it's out of my control. I don't know why I'm thinking like that, but in this case, I think it's too many points. I think the Niners got the talent, and they can play bully ball and keep it very close. I could see them going down at half too, the Packers. I could see them not being they're going to be ready, but it's just a level of competition when it's not there for 7 weeks. It's a different story. I could be wrong. This is just an opinion. So,
well, look, I am, jaded a bit because I'm a Niners fan, and I need Bosa in the lineup. I'm not going to get a +6 when Bosa's announced in. I think it's worth it right now, especially after what I won last week on the Niners. I think it's worth it here to take the Niners at this 6 right now. Now, we know the Packers D hasn't been very good. They're getting reinforcements, and I don't know if they're going to be at 100% or ready to take 90% of the snaps, but they're getting some real special players back. I think the 49ers are built to give the Packers a tough game. And I watched the Packers play a lot of underwhelming football. That game against the Browns was really underwhelming. And maybe that's in my head a little bit, but we can give you the Niners right now +6. There's +6s available for you. Pinnacle hanging the +6 at -108. Is that what you want, Alex?
Lock me in there.
+6 for Pavy at -108. Pete.
Very nice.
And you know that I've got 60-1 on the Super Bowl and 30-1 on the NFC. Am I in grave danger at Lambeau here on Saturday night?
I mean, I think the issue, it's not clear what's going to happen here. I think it's pretty clear that Jimmy G's hand injuries are bothering him. He says they're bothering him. His second half was not good in the last game. And, in general, going into cold weather can be, a little bit of an overvalued factor, but it's going to be freezing there. He's never thrown a pass in cold weather. I saw that somewhere on Twitter. And he's got this hand injury, you know what I mean, which is bothering him, according to him and according to the stats. So, so that's not good. And, when I look at this one, I'm thinking don't overthink it. Bet rushing props for the Niners and passing props for the Packers. The Niners have a weak secondary. They're particularly bad against opposing teams' top receivers. So, it might be the most obvious player prop in the world. But, Adams, receptions and or yards over might be good plays, although I haven't seen what the actual numbers are there. And San Francisco, I think that, again, kind of obvious, but maybe Kittle props over. Tight end for San Francisco, yardage and or receptions. Green Bay, not good against opposing tight ends all year long. You have to assume that the game plan is going to involve a lot of short passing. Kittle might have a monster game. I would expect that. It's kind of an obvious analysis. I'm sure lots of other people have said that, but I don't have a number here for his yardage prop, but I'd be leaning over there. And San Francisco, weak spot, weak in the secondary. And so maybe I'm a little bit careful about quarterback props, unless we're talking about like touchdowns or interceptions. But yeah, Devontae Adams yardage prop over. We'll see what it is, and that's what I'd be leaning here. I'd be leaning Kittle over yardage, even though I don't have a number right now, and in general leaning towards rushing props over for the Niners and passing props over for the Packers. That's a super obvious way of looking at this game. I'm sure everyone else sees the same thing, but what do you want from me, Jimmy the Bag? That's my take on it.
I like it, and I'll be very curious to see what you get to the window with. We will be following you on Twitter. That's at PLoshak, and I will retweet anything that you put out. Tag me and put NFL Pub Hub as a part of it.
It's San Francisco is sort of constructed to play well against the Packers. What they say, like run games and defenses tend to travel, especially in cold weather. That's how they're built. The injury to Garoppolo is a problem, but if the backup has to come in, that number 3 pick, who knows what's going to happen, So I'd be very careful about laying too many points, with the Packers, and certainly not, on the money line. So it's I'm definitely looking at player props here, because I think that the game plans for both teams are going to be pretty obvious, and the player props are bettable betting into those game plans.
I love it. We have Pistol Pete Loshak here on NFL Pub Hub Playoff Edition, and we move on. Let's move on to the 49ers Packers. I can't wait to hear your look on this spot. The Niners go into SoFi and take care of the Rams. Then they go into AT&T and take care of the Cowboys. Now, can they go into Lambeau and take care of the Packers? We're asking for a lot. Is this team capable of doing it? I fear your answer here. So take it away, Niners Packers.
So I was on the Niners last week, Jimmy, and Cowboys helped them a little bit. 14 penalties, a lot of them to give San Fran a first down or to take a first down away from Dallas. But I still really believe the 49ers are the better team there. They have a good offensive line, good defensive line, the stuff that I like. But you run into the Packers here, who I believe, Jimmy, I give them 3.5 points for home field. I think this is the best home field left in the playoffs. With the tundra and the fans in Green Bay, I just think that the really cold temperatures Green Bay's used to playing in, San Fran's used to that moderate thing. You got Jimmy G, and I know I've heard this from some of the other cappers. I don't think his thumb. I mean, he had a terrible overthrow that put Dallas back into that game last week. That was just a terrible pass. I don't know what he was doing. And then the whole thing with Trent Williams not taking your time on the quarterback sneak to end the game and just let Trent Williams put his fist in the ground, and he gets a penalty for going too early. And Jimmy G, I like him, but, man, give me Aaron Rodgers. Give me the home field. I think they win by 7 to 10 points. I think that Green Bay has the goods. I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I think that you're going to have San Fran doing a lot of zone defense, what they like to run. Aaron Rodgers should tear up a zone defense. Bosa being hurt doesn't help. Warner, even if he plays, he's going to be playing on a gimpy ankle. That doesn't bode so well. So I think this bye week helped because the Packers got healthier. You're going to get Bakhtiari back. You're going to get a lot of key components. Hopefully Jair Alexander may be back. I just think Green Bay here is going to win by at least a touchdown. And I'm sorry, Jimmy, I know you're a 49er fan, but they had a hell of a job going into Dallas and beating Dallas, and I think it's now time for them to bow out.
All very possible. Also, Zadarius Smith going to be back.
Yes.
Merciless going to be back. We already seen what Rashawn Gary can do, which has been very impressive. You have Preston Smith. Nobody's beaten the Packers at home this season. So a very, very tough hill to climb. There's my guy Lamont Williams in the house. Great to see you. So I'm going to line shop for you on these Packers. I'm going to try to find you a 5.5 here on my site that I'm using. It says Will Hill is hanging a 5.5. I don't know if anybody in the chat could go ahead and confirm that Will Hill is still hanging in the 5.5. I would love to know that. I'm going to line shop for you on these Packers to move on to the Saturday late game, that being the San Francisco 49ers heading to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Take it away, Brizzy. How you getting paid here?
Oh, man. This is one of those games where shouts to my boy Boston Nick. Boston Nick MMA holds it down. Because last week, I'm not going to lie, Nikki, when that Bills and Patriots game came on, I had it on the other monitor, and I was glued onto the screen. And I think in the first half of this game, I might be glued onto the screen again while the main event is going to be starting. But preferably, I want to attack the Packers props in this game. Aaron Rodgers, especially, when these two teams played in Week 4, he threw for 261 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, which is really not that crazy of a game for Rodgers, but in real life, it was a really good game. They won the game. And, I kind of want to be looking at Devontae Adams in this spot. He had a huge day against the 49ers this season. He had 12 catches for 132 yards and a touchdown in that game in September. And Adams has scored 6 touchdowns in 5 of his last games. And he'll be the vocal point of the offense. The 49ers have allowed opposing wide receivers to put up at least 34 PPR points 3 different times this season. So those are the big splash games, the ones that put you on a yacht for $1 million. In addition, the 4 other receivers, man, they have allowed 4 other receivers to score at least 18 PPR points over the span too. The secondary wide receivers, it's like rolling the roulette reel on this one, man. I really don't have any true lean on this one because with Randall Cobb being thrown back into this mix, it really throws everything off. But, there's a lot of value on this anytime touchdown prop for my boy Alan Lazard. He's had 10 receiving touchdowns during the regular season. His anytime touchdown prop for this weekend is plus 155. That is going to be something that I'm going to be looking at. But I do have a special place in my heart. Shouts to my boy in the chat. He's here, Sharpie. Man, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, man, he had a fucking day when the 49ers played against each other. It didn't really feel like it in hindsight when I was looking at some statistical data today. But, man, Sharpie was down there in Las Vegas, and we bet Marquez Valdez-Scantling after we got fucked by him the week before. And, dude, he cashed that shit in the first quarter off of, 3 catches. It was probably the easiest money I've ever made in my life. And me and Sharpie were fucking laughing out the window. I was in New Jersey. He was in Las Vegas. But virtually, we're laughing out the window together. But majority of the production, even though it came in the first quarter, I don't know if I want to go back to it. The running back situation here is definitely not the situation that you want to really attack. There could be some value on Aaron Jones. He nearly had 100 scrimmage yards in the first game. He had 82 rushing yards and a touchdown off of 19 carries, which is actually a really good total considering the 49ers defense has been really stout this year. They have allowed the least amount of fantasy points to the running back position over the last 3 weeks of the regular season. And it seemed like the team really wanted to limit Aaron Jones's work going into the playoffs. So I don't know if I really want to have my money invested on Aaron Jones props going into the weekend or the rookie A.J. Dillon. Shouts to my boy Tone. Tone taught me these rookies out here playing in the playoffs. There's levels to this shit, and the rookies are going to have to learn levels. And, hey, I'm not going to ask questions. Sometimes you just sit in the car as a passenger, and you're just glad you're there for the ride. Next, though, Jimmy Garoppolo. Everybody knows what the deal is for this one. Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know what the thumbs up, thumbs down. We've been trying to fade Jimmy G literally since the beginning of the year. We were back there over the summer in the Discord, and this was in June. I said the Cardinals are going to be the best team in this division. The 49ers fucking suck. And everybody started freaking the fuck out, freaking the fuck out. And they're like, this, that, and the third, this, that, and the third, this, that, and the third. And I said, dude, sleep on this Cardinals team. Man, shouts to Jeff Slaughter, because if it wasn't for him, I would have bet that Cardinals team on Monday night, and my dumbass would have been looking like a straight dumbass. Slaughter cashed this first half ticket. It was honestly the most magical thing I've ever been a part of in my life. They scored. He said, we're taking the first half team total over. Bet it once. We bet it twice. Nikki said, fuck it. Bet it the third time. We bet it the third time. All three of them bitches cash. Dude, that Monday night football, lovely. The only thing that we missed was a Christian Kirk prop. And Tone had the sharpest look ever with the Odell Beckham. He had the Martin Luther King tattoo on his leg. He said he's going to score the first touchdown of the game. He was literally at the casino. He was literally driving to the casino as he is telling this to put our money on this. And he said, this is going to happen. It happened. And he turned back around to the casino to pick up the money and proceed with the rest of his night and ended up playing Fortnite by the end of the night. True story, man. True story. And then, man, that shit's crazy. But this is the same game parlay game. This is the reason why we're focusing on this game. This is the same game parlay game that you're really going to want to attack. Deebo Samuel is going to be kind of like he's basically just a fancy cheat code this season in the passing and receiving game. Sharpie's on a prop on him again. He had the rushing yard prop. We tailed Sharpie on the rushing yard prop. That was probably one of the easiest cashers this season, but I think the books are going to be all over that. So I'm going to try to attack his receiving yard prop. He scored at least 16 PPR points in 5 games in a row, but he was held to only 10 PPR points against the Green Bay in week 3. Brandon Ayuk, he's coming into this one in good recent form. He scored at least 11 PPR points in 4 straight games in a row with 4 catches for 37 yards and a touchdown in his first game versus Green Bay with the 6 targets. Juwan Jennings, though, is the kind of guy that I'm going to be having a highlight on for deep targets for daily fantasy. He could offer some value in the prop market as well. He's seen 5+ targets in 5 of his last 6 games while playing on 50% of the snaps. He's coming into this game in good recent form. I think it was last week. He had 7 targets, 6 passes, 94 yards. No, that was the last game of the season. 2 of the games are getting mixed up. The last week, regular week of the season, my man had 7 targets, 6 catches, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And we all were like, what the fuck, Juwan Jennings? Where did this come from? And then it carried into the Cowboys game last week where he had 5 targets in his first playoff game. So I think the rookie's ready to go. George Kittle, though, is my biggest fade of the game in this game. His receiving yards and targets have really just dropped off of the face of the earth while the rushing game has been on the rise. Kittle has been serving as their 6th offensive lineman. He's had 3 games straight of 2 or fewer receptions. He's only had 1 touchdown over his last 4 games while playing on 96% of the offensive snaps. He scored 17.4 PPR points combined, which translates to 4.35 points per game. Coach Shanahan, when asked about Kittle's performances recently in the media, he's said Kittle's just being a part of the team and just playing his role, and he's not complaining about him catching the ball. He just cares about the wins. And I don't blame him, man. We're sports gamblers, and we just care about cashing the tickets. The Elijah Mitchell, though, that was the rookie that probably looked one of the rookies that I really had an eye on coming into the playoffs. He looked electric flying back there, man. He only played on 51% of the snaps while still scoring a touchdown and having 15.5 PPR fantasy points. This matchup isn't the most ideal on paper, but I would expect the 49ers to run the ball and keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hand as much as possible. But if he can hover around 18 touches, I definitely would be interested in this one. But ultimately, though, I think the Packers are going to be a good parlay piece for the weekend.
Are you going to make anything official at this point, Brizzy?
I do have something official, but I would have to actually probably go on my phone and look at my tickets.
Okay, you don't need to worry right now if you want to tweet something out. If you would prefer to do it that way, it's totally up to you right now. The breakdown was fascinating, and I also just cashed the first half over in Houston, Utah by a half point and was trying to keep my shit together so I didn't scream.
Dude. It's crazy, man. I'm glad we didn't do this during the Sixers' first quarter. Cheers to anybody that tailed me on that.
Nice work. Move on to 49ers Packers. This game is very near and dear to my heart. Beating the Cowboys made me extremely happy. And going into Lambeau is a very, very difficult task. We've seen this market go from 4.5 to 5.5 to 6. Are you looking at a total? Are you looking at the side? How are you going to attack 49ers, Packers, the Saturday night late game?
Yeah, like I told you, I'm keeping it simple, like how I capped this NFL or cap football, But 49ers, they've been playing good. They've been hot. They've covered and won, I think, 8 of their last 10 games. I was on them last week. I thought I love their defense versus the Cowboys defense, and I just thought it was a good matchup. But here, if you're gonna tell me, I kind of just got to pick between a choke artist and Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna take the better quarterback in Aaron Rodgers 10 times out of 10. So what I did in this game, I teased the Packers down to where they kind of just got to win the game, and I'm pairing it up with another game we'll talk about after.
Okay. So what did you tease the Packers to?
It was 0. Breaking some
Okay.
rules here, but just getting in numbers where they just got to win.
Sure. So you've teased the Packers down to a pick 'em as part of your action there.